So this is a really hard conversation to bring up, but I'm going to be honest with each and every one of you. I quit. My name is Vern, this is the Commute, because it's time to go to work. I mainly talk about my experience working from home as a software engineer and a lot of other things like personal finance and really anything in life. So if you're down for that and you need a ride, like and subscribe to the channel. You know, the funny thing is unless you look at the title of the video, you wouldn't know the context of the words I quit. It could be I quit this, I quit that, but the biggest thing is a lot of people say I quit when they want to quit a job. Sometimes people just quit and they walk out, but sometimes it's also a really hard conversation to have with your manager, especially if you work in a professional job or even just really any job for that matter. I can't say that I recently started a new job, but I did start a new job this year in 2021, and I've been at it for the last few months now. But one of the things that I had to do before that was tell my boss that I'm quitting, and it was a really awkward or hard conversation to have. It's also worth noting that right now is an unprecedented time. There are a lot of people quitting their jobs in this thing called the Great Resignation. And I mean, it was a lot bigger in the middle of the year, but it's still happening. People are quitting their jobs and not applying to jobs to work. One of the factors of why people quit jobs is they want to get better pay, because if you stay in a job and you wait for performance season and then you get a horrible review, sometimes you don't even get a raise. And that was one of the reasons why I started looking for a new job. I did get a raise, but it wasn't as much or up to par that I'd want to. So I started looking in the market. But let's move the focus back to just quitting a job. I'm going to assume the general formality that you want to quit your job and you are going to tell your manager, but technically you really don't have to. It also depends on what state you're in. It's just more of a courtesy, because it's like you don't have to announce that you're departing an airport, right? There are a few reasons for that, but from the perspective of a company, it's just a courtesy to them so they can prepare for any resource management. Like if you're gonna leave now, or if you're gonna leave in 2 to 3 weeks, they will know how to prepare for that in the future. I mean, really the first thing is approaching your manager or your boss and letting them know that you need to meet to talk with them about something that is urgent or time sensitive, because you have to let your new employer know, hey, I'm going to accept this offer, or hey, you need to let your current employer know I'm going to be quitting by this date, or today at least. Some things can come out of that. They can be like, okay, cool, 2 more weeks, just document your stuff or train the next guy or whatever it may be. Or in some cases, they'll be like, hey, if you got an offer, what are they offering? We'll pay you more. Go into this conversation simply by stating that you're giving your notice of resignation or termination, and a formal letter is going to follow. Depending how the process is, your manager is most likely going to have to take that letter, send it to HR, get that whole process started, and then it's basically out of the hands from there. If your manager asks you why are you leaving, you're not really obligated to do so, but you can use it as a chance to kind of gather information about what they're trying to do. Maybe they want you to stay. Maybe they want to pay you more, or ask you how much are you being offered and how can we counteract that. I won't go into all the nuances, but essentially, like I said, gather all the data that you can so you're not just making an emotional or irrational decision just right there in the conversation. You can state something like, given the new information that you shared with me, I'm going to have to think about it. But at the same time, if you're already out the door, like you want to quit this job, in some states, you're not obligated to just stay for 2 weeks. You can quit right on the spot if you really want to. Again, you don't want to burn bridges, and it's kind of a courtesy. But at the same time, if the job's not treating you right, why does that even matter? Just saying. Because if you quit right on the spot and that employer's bridge is just now burned, will that employer really want to hire you back on? Most likely not, but at the same time, it's up to your preference. Do you think you'll ever want to work for that company ever again? If you got into a hardship and you're like, hey, old manager, can I have a job? You don't want to do that. At the end of the day, you don't want to burn that bridge, because like I said, it could be a connection that could be rekindled in the future, or your reputation could also count on it if you're trying to get a job elsewhere that potentially needs a background check. So don't burn the bridge if you don't have to. Quitting a job also doesn't have to always be a bad thing. It isn't every day that the individual worker looks out for themselves. They care about whether they have a job or not, and they say that the employer should be looking out for them, but that's not always the case either. Life is short and you should always be looking out for yourself, and that's the reason why I wanted to make this video, is because you gotta think, am I being paid and compensated what I'm worth? Is the work conditions that I'm in poor, or is it okay? Is there even work-life balance? Is the job burning you out? And if it's any of these things where you're burnt out, not getting paid well, and just the work environment's not great, you should probably quit. And if the job that you're in is great and you can't ask for more, that's cool too. But at the same time, you should also explore out there to see if there are greater opportunities to help you grow in better ways that can't be at your current job. But anyways, I had this conversation with my previous managers, and it came to the point where it's like where I currently was at wasn't going to be enough for me to grow. I mean, maybe later down the way it could have been, but there's also things that are out of your control. My new employer, the one that I'm currently with, was definitely paying me more than I was getting paid before, and the opportunity to grow was just, different and, in my opinion, better. It did hurt my previous managers, teammates, and I guess employer to a sense where I'm not working with them anymore, but at the same time, it's okay. We did leave each other on a good note, and I still keep in contact with some of my old teammates, and I do check in with my old managers from time to time. My hope is if they ever watch this video, shout out to you guys, and I hope you guys are doing well, whether it's in your current company if you're still there, or if you moved on. I want you to look out for each and every one of yourselves for yourself. But with that said, if you're watching this video and you're thinking about quitting your job, go ahead and do it. Or see what's out there first, and then see if there's a new opportunity that you could take on that is better than the one that you're in. Or it's like if you're in one that's great, but you want more, ask yourself, is it worth to stay or is it worth to go? But with that said, do what's good for you. If you love your job, great. If you don't stay there and keep suffering. See what's out there. See what you can do. Grow yourself, and everything will be okay in the end. If something doesn't turn out, try something else, because that's really what it is that I'm trying to get at through this video. But with that said, the commute is over, and I thank you so much for taking a ride with me. If you enjoyed the video, press the like button, subscribe to the channel to check out my other videos. I'm just making up some lost time with my Vlogmas series, but I wanted to share with you this message about quitting your job and how to approach it in a way that's not harmful, but at the same time, always look out for yourself. So, peace.